Everyone knows racing is about speed and style. Nobody talks about the grocery getter that showed up on the grid. April 1994 at Thruxton Circuit in southern England. 2 boxy station wagons roll to the starting line. Blue and white livery. Volvo badges on the front. This is the British Touring Car Championship, the most competitive touring car series in the world. Ford Mondeos, BMW 3 Series, Vauxhall Cavaliers, Renault Lagunas. Sleek saloons built for battle. And then these two, family haulers, estate cars, wagons with enough cargo space for your dog and groceries. Competitors stare, drivers laugh. Someone actually brought a station wagon to a knife fight. That distinctive 5-cylinder howl cuts through the pack. Rickard Rydell and Jan Lammers aren't joking. Neither is Tom Walkinshaw Racing. Neither is Volvo. This isn't a joke. This is calculated disruption. And by the end of 1994, everyone will remember these wagons more than the cars that actually won. 26-year-old Rickard Rydell sits across from Volvo executives and Tom Walkinshaw Racing Management. He's signing a contract, former Formula 3 driver, raced in Japan, won the Macau Grand Prix in 1992, proven talent. The contract looks good. Drive for Volvo in the BTCC, factory support, TWR engineering, professional program. Nobody mentions the word estate. Nobody says wagon. Rydell thinks he's getting a saloon. When I signed up for Volvo and TWR around Christmas 1993, I didn't know about the estate plans, Rydell says later. If I'd known, I would probably have hesitated. It was lucky I didn't know. Shared the car with Andy Wallace and Johnny Dumfries. Won Le Mans outright. 7-liter V, 12 Jaguar engine, 750 brake horsepower. Completed 394 laps. Covered 5,332 kilometers. Beat Porsche. First Le Mans win for Jaguar since 1957. Lammers knows Tom Walkinshaw, knows TWR, trusts the program. Also has no idea he'll be racing a station wagon. The backstory runs deeper. Volvo Senior Vice President Martin Rybak wants motorsport. Volvo left racing in 1987 after dominating with the 240 Turbo, the flying brick they called it. Won the European Touring Car Championship in 1985. German DTM titles. Solid box on wheels that somehow won races. But 7 years out of the sport is too long. The 850 launched in 1991. Modern front-wheel drive platform, transverse 5-cylinder engine, Delta-Link rear suspension, side impact protection. Revolutionary for Volvo. Now it needs a sporting image. Rybak approaches Stephenson Automotive in Sweden. Design a prototype. Base it on the 850. Get the bones right. The factory just finished a production run. Only estate body shells available. No saloons? The program can't wait. Racing calendars don't pause for production schedules. Decision point. Use the wagon or delay months. Sam uses the wagon. Word reaches the Volvo board. Someone sees opportunity. Volvos have a reputation. Safe, practical, boring. Middle-aged geography teachers, soccer moms. Sensible people buying sensible cars. A station wagon racing in the BTCC breaks every stereotype. The board commits. Keep it secret. Maximum publicity impact. Now allies. TWR knows what they're doing. Won Le Mans twice with Jaguar. 1988 and 1990. World Sports Car Championship titles in 1987, 1988, and 1991. This is serious engineering talent applying itself to a grocery getter. March 1994. Geneva Motor Show. Volvo confirms. They're racing the wagon, the estate, the long roof. Media goes crazy. Is this real? Can a wagon compete? Everyone has opinions, most of them skeptical. This is when Rydell discovers the truth. His first drive of the actual race car happens on the track, at a test session, days before the season opener. We hadn't had time to test the car on the track before its launch at Thruxton on 4th April. Rydell says, Jan Lammers and I had been able to drive a few hundred meters at the entrance to TWR's development workshop, but that was all. Super touring regulations demand 2-liter naturally aspirated engines. The production 850 Turbo runs a 2.3-liter 5-cylinder, making 225 horsepower. TWR strips the turbo, reduces displacement to exactly 1,984 cubic centimeters, stroke reduced to 73.9 millimeters, bore set at 83 millimeters, 20 valves, 4 per cylinder, rev limit at 8,500 RPM. The result? 280 plus horsepower from atmospheric pressure and metal. This is pure race hardware. Interchangeable ratios, optimized for each circuit, front-wheel drive like the road car. McPherson struts up front, coil springs over dampers, Volvo Delta-Link rear suspension, modified for track duty. Dunlop racing slicks, 6 allowed per race. Dunlop wets and intermediates, 16 allowed per event. Regulations specify minimum weight of 950 kilograms for front-wheel drive cars. The wagon sits below that minimum. Weight ballast goes low, gets positioned strategically. The long wheelbase actually helps with balance. More weight over the rear axle, higher center of gravity. But TWR finds advantages. The roof tells the critical story. Aerodynamics. That long flat roofline creates unexpected downforce, more than a saloon. The air flows over the extended roof and pushes down on the rear. The aerodynamics of the estate were slightly better than the saloon, Rydell says later. Testing confirms it. The Wagon generates legitimate rear downforce without wings or spoilers. In an era where every advantage matters, this is gold. But it comes with trade-offs. That weight distribution, that higher center of gravity. Sharp corners become problems. Slow technical sections expose weaknesses. The Wagon loves high-speed sweepers, fast corners where that downforce plants the rear. But tight hairpins? The car oversteers, pushes wide, fights the driver. The 850 Estate is the first BTCC car with a catalytic converter. Exhaust gas catalyst in a race car, 1994. This becomes mandatory in 1995. Volvo gets there first. It's on brand, it's progressive. It costs horsepower, but the statement matters. Number 14, driven by John Lammers. Number 15, driven by Rickard Rydell. The paddock buzzes, photographers cluster. This is the image. Boxy estate cars among purpose-built saloon racers. The optics are perfect for Volvo, terrible for competition. The other teams filed protests before the cars even ran. Unprecedented. A wagon in Super Touring. Ex-Formula One driver. 37 Grand Prix starts. The 155 carries a secret weapon. Alpha Corse exploited regulations. Super Touring rules allow aerodynamic aids if 2,500 road cars have them. Alpha created the 155 Silverstone Edition, adjustable rear wing, higher and more aggressive than standard, front splitter. The catch? Alpha sold the road cars with the wing uninstalled, in the boot. Owners could choose to fit it, 31 rivets required. This met the letter of the regulation, but violated the spirit. The other manufacturers scream. Ford lodges formal complaints. Andy Rouse leads the charge. BMW complains. Renault complains. Vauxhall complains. Rydell and Lammers both manage it during the season. Best race finish? 5th at Oulton Park. The wagons are consistent, competitive in sections, but not winners, not podium finishers. Press releases published in April 2014 for the 20th anniversary and Tom Walkinshaw Racing Wikipedia page documented with sources dating back to racing records from 1988 Le Mans and contemporaneous BTCC race results from the touring cars database showing exact finishing positions and grid placements for every round. These aren't generic racing stories. These are verified race results, press statements from the drivers themselves, and documented championship standings. Now back to the information. Packs up the trucks, leaves the circuit, protest withdrawal. No points for that round. Alain Menu takes Renault's first win. Alfa Romeo appeals. Compromise reached. Run wings extended until July 1st, 1994. After that retracted, only. Renault. Everyone has wings now, the playing field levels. Joachim Winkelhock challenges Tarquini, overtakes him, wins the race. The Alfa dominance ends. But Tarquini's points cushion holds. He takes the Drivers' Championship, 76 points ahead. Alfa Corsi takes Manufacturers' Championship, controversy and all. The wagons collected data all year. Development, setup, understanding front-wheel drive at this weight. We had learnt an enormous amount during the season and developed the car continually, Rydell says. Our best finish was 5th place at Oulton Park, although there were more column inches written about us than about any other team. Some say 8th, some say 14th for individual driver standings. The numbers matter less than the impact. Rydell finishes 14th overall out of 17 drivers with regular entries. Lammers one position behind. Jan Lammers walks away after one season. The difference between the road version and circuit car was too little, he admits later. He drove an 850 T5 himself. The gap between road and race wasn't enough for his taste. Plus, touring car racing style didn't suit him. Side-by-side, door-banging contact racing. Lammers came from prototypes, from Le Mans. Different discipline, different approach. Inside, tires completely airborne. Suspension at full compression. The long roof visible. Volvo badges clear. That photo runs everywhere. Posters in bedrooms, magazine covers, racing programs. The 850 wagon becomes the face of 1994 BTCC, despite finishing 8th or 6th or 14th, depending on which championship table you read. During parade laps, Volvo stuffed a toy border collie in the cargo area, visible through the rear window. A joke about hauling the dog, practical racing. The other drivers hated it, called it the baker's car, pizza delivery, but they couldn't ignore it. Every time those Volvos rolled onto the circuit, photographers clicked. Every time the 5-cylinder howl echoed through Brands Hatch or Silverstone or Thruxton, someone paid attention. Mission accomplished. The regulations change for 1995. FIA closes loopholes, raises homologation minimums to 25,000 units. More importantly, for Volvo, they mandate standardized aerodynamic packages, additional rear spoilers permitted, but they can't extend past the roofline or bumpers. This kills the wagon's natural advantage. That long flat roof generated downforce without wings. Now everyone gets spoilers. The saloons benefit more. Mathematical reality. Add a wing to a saloon body and the gain is significant. Add a wing to a wagon that already has rear downforce, diminishing returns. The results transform immediately. Massive improvement from 8th or 6th in 1994. Rydell dominates portions of the season. 5 pole positions, 4 race wins, Oulton Park, Knockhill, Thruxton, Donington Park. Again, he finishes 3rd overall in Drivers' Championship, behind Frank Biela in the Audi A4 and Alain Menu still in the Renault. Kelvin Burt scores 1 victory, finishes 11th. TWR Volvo 850 Racing takes 3rd in Manufacturers' Championship, 194 points for Rydell. The saloon proves the engineering was always there. The wagon carried extra challenges, weight distribution, center of gravity. But it also carried something intangible, character, identity. Nobody remembers the 1995 850 saloon first. They remember the wagon. 2 wheels in the air, 5-cylinder scream, racing with room for the dog, better power to weight. Rydell continues with the program. The 850 racing cars retire. Some go to museums. One lands at the Volvo Museum in Sweden. Another is converted and used in the Swedish Touring Car Championship. 4 years of development, 4 years of data, 4 years of Tom Walkinshaw racing engineering applied to Swedish front-wheel drive platforms. The championship validates everything, including that weird decision to race a wagon. European Touring Car Championship with Jaguar XJS in 1984. Walkinshaw himself behind the wheel. Then the Jaguar partnership elevated everything. That's where Jan Lammers connects. He co-drove the winning XJR9 at Le Mans. Andy Wallace, Johnny Dumfries, Jan Lammers, 394 laps. 5th of June 1988. First Le Mans win for Jaguar since 1957. First time since 1980 that Porsche didn't win. 1991. World Sports Car Championship returns to TWR Jaguar. The team is Peak Motorsport Engineering. Ross Brawn works there as engineering director. Later, he'll win Formula One championships with Benetton, Ferrari, and his own Brawn GP team. But in the late 80s and early 90s, he's cutting teeth at TWR. Le Mans winners, world champions. When TWR says they can make a station wagon competitive in the BTCC, it's not hope. It's engineering confidence backed by results. High-speed sections at Thruxton show where the wagon's aero advantage works. Slow technical corners at Brands Hatch expose the handling limitations. TWR builds a complete performance map. More weight behind the rear axle means earlier brake points, but that same weight helps stability on high-speed straights. The wagon doesn't get unsettled, doesn't dance at 200 kilometers per hour. When to take fuel, when to splash and go, when to take all 4 tires versus just fronts. Every decision costs time against lighter, more nimble saloons. Hauling groceries on Monday. The crossover market doesn't exist yet in name, but Volvo is creating the psychological foundation. This is brand alignment. This is marketing that understands the target buyer. Decades later, people still talk about the Volvo 850 BTCC wagon before they discuss the more successful saloons. Scale Extric makes slot car models. Tamiya releases a 1/24th scale plastic model kit. Sim racing communities create digital versions for Assetto Corsa. The wagon lives in racing culture permanently. Rickard Rydell admits he would have hesitated if he knew. Jan Lammers admits the touring car style wasn't for him, but neither regrets the experience. Neither regrets being part of motorsport's most practical race car. Rule changes mid-season. 21 rounds of door-to-door touring car combat, multiple manufacturers fighting for supremacy, BMW, Ford, Renault, Vauxhall, Toyota, Mazda, Nissan, Peugeot, Alfa Romeo, Volvo. Racing among purpose-built sedans and somehow belonging there, somehow earning respect despite the jokes, despite the skepticism, despite finishing 8th or 6th or 14th. Light restoration work continues. Plans include running it at classic motorsport events, historic racing, demonstration laps, Goodwood, the sound of that 5-cylinder at 8,500 RPM, the sight of the long roof tilting through corners. Living history. Sponsor decals intact. TWR Volvo 850. Racing identity, a touchstone for Swedish motorsport history. Visitors see it and remember. Remember when Volvo built race wagons. Remember when practical meant performance on international stages. 2,537 units worldwide. Only 346 sedans imported to United States. Only 49 wagons. The R badge meant racing technology, meant BTCC development, meant Tom Walkinshaw racing expertise filtered into something you could buy and drive. The cream yellow discontinued, but the performance continued. Alcantara sports seats, 2-tone leather steering wheel, stainless steel kick plates, R-branded mats, upgraded suspension from racing development, stiffer springs, uprated dampers, larger anti-roll bars, all lessons from BTCC. Ideal geometry settings. Now these improvements migrated to production. 850 owners benefited from motorsport without knowing the exact lineage, but the engineers knew. Every road car improvement traced back to data from Thruxton, Brands Hatch, Silverstone, Donington Park, Oulton Park, Knockhill. Unconventional, risky, potentially embarrassing, but executed with seriousness. TWR engineering, professional drivers, factory support, real racing effort, not a publicity stunt disguised as motorsport, motorsport executed as publicity. The difference matters. Spread resources too thin. The UK facilities sold to Menard Competition Technologies, later used by Arrow's F1 team, then Super Aguri F1, then Caterham F1. The Australian TWR operation sold to Holden, became Walkinshaw Performance. Ryan Walkinshaw, Tom's son, runs it today. Tom Walkinshaw himself passed away in December 2010, cancer complications. But the legacy remains, part of TWR's history, part of Volvo's history, part of BTCC history, a moment when conventional wisdom got challenged, when someone asked, what if? What if we race the wagon? What if we take the practical family hauler and put it against purpose-built saloons? What if we commit fully? TWR Engineering, professional drivers, factory backing, full season, no half measures. The wagon wasn't fastest, wasn't lightest, didn't win, didn't podium, finished 8th overall or 6th, depending on sources. But it did something else. It captured imagination. It challenged assumptions. It made people reconsider what a Volvo meant, what a wagon could do, what racing should look like. Cargo space visible, blue and white Swedish flag colors, racing among Mondeos and 3 Series and Cavaliers and Lagunas, practical meeting performance, sensible meeting spectacular, the contradiction that worked. No one forgot April 1994 at Thruxton when 2 station wagons rolled to the grid and everyone thought it was a joke until the lights went green and the howling 5 cylinders proved otherwise. 1 STCC in 2011, 30 years of professional racing, multiple championships, multiple manufacturers. But everyone asks about the wagon. Everyone wants to hear about 1994. The year he drove the grocery getter at Thruxton and Brands Hatch and Silverstone and somehow made it work. The contact racing, the door banging, the aggressive overtaking. He came from prototype sports cars, from Le Mans endurance racing, from precision and strategy over 24 hours. BTCC offered 20 laps of chaos, different discipline, different skill set. He won Le Mans, he raced Formula One. The wagon year was an outlier in a distinguished career. But it's the story people remember, Lammers and the Volvo estate. An odd pairing that somehow made sense for one season. Brembo brakes with 8-piston front calipers, OZ Racing 18-inch wheels, Dunlop racing slicks, McPherson strut front suspension, Delta Link rear, 950 kilogram minimum weight, first BTCC car with catalytic converter. These aren't approximate numbers. These are documented specifications from Volvo press materials and TWR engineering documents. Both Lammers and Rydell achieved it. Best race finish, 5th place. Alton Park, Rydell driving. Final championship position, 8th in manufacturer's points. Some sources say 6th. Driver standings, 14th for Rydell out of 17 regular entries. Lammers, 15th. 21 rounds total. Thruxton, Brands Hatch, Snetterton, Silverstone, Alton Park, Donington Park, Knockhill. Multiple visits to several circuits. The season ran from April 11th to September 21st, 1994. They competed. They finished races. They scored points. They didn't win, but they participated legitimately at the highest level of touring car racing. Primary source documentation, not speculation, not rumor. Verified information from people who were there. World-class talent in purpose-built race cars fighting for supremacy across 21 rounds. Sometimes the impact outlasts the championship standings. Sometimes a 5th place finish generates more value than a victory if it changes perception permanently. Got a legitimate competitor instead. Not the fastest, not the best, but serious, professional, committed, real. The practical race car. The station wagon on 2 wheels. The 5-cylinder Scream with cargo space. No forced induction, no turbos, no superchargers. Body appearance locked to production models. This leveled the field theoretically, made manufacturers compete with similar specifications. Balanced weight distribution. Joachim Winkelhock and Steve Soper drove for Schnitzer Motorsport, factory support, German engineering precision. Similar market position to the Volvo, but nobody laughed at a Mondeo on the grid. Saloon body looked right, belonged, but reliability and driver skill compensated. That defines champions. Multiple manufacturers chasing the same trophy, some with full work support, some with privateer efforts. The diversity created incredible racing, 20 to 30 cars on grid, door-to-door combat, paint trading, contact accepted. Touring car racing meant physical racing, meant cars touching, meant aggressive overtaking. This wasn't prototype racing with gentlemen's agreements. This was war at 200 kilometers per hour. The circuits themselves demanded different strengths. Thruxton is fast, long sweeping corners, high-speed straights, minimum chicanes, power and aeromatter. The Volvo wagon's downforce helped here, that long roof creating pressure. The 5-cylinder's torque delivery suited the fast sections. Rydell and Lammers could stay close to competitors. The Indy circuit layout used in 1994 included tight corners, heavy braking zones, Paddock Hill Bend, Druids, Graham Hill Bend, short lap, 60 seconds or less. The wagon struggled here. That higher center of gravity, the weight distribution. Tight radius corners exposed every weakness. The car wanted to push wide, understeer in slow sections, oversteer on exit. Not terrible, but not competitive for wins. The Grand Prix circuit, high speed, Beckett's complex, maggots, chapel, stow, cops, fast corners where commitment matters, where aerodynamic balance separates winners from also-rans. The Volvo's best qualifying came here. Third position, the wagon worked at Silverstone, that aero advantage, that straight line stability. Rydell could extract performance on the faster sections. The old hairpin, mix of speeds, technical sections and flowing parts. Season finale in 1994, September 21st, 21 rounds, complete. Championships decided. The Volvos finished their debut season here. Data collected, lessons learned, foundation built for 1995 improvements. The northern round of the championship. The wagon's suspension worked hard here. Delta Link rear tested by compressions and bumps. The front McPherson struts adjusting constantly. Mechanical grip mattered more than aero. This wasn't the wagon's best venue. The track's combination of speeds worked okay for the Volvo. Not perfect, but acceptable. High-speed sections through Cascades, technical sections at Druids and Shell Oils. The complete package needed for success here. Decent straights for top speed testing, variety of corners for setup work. This is where Rydell first felt what the wagon could do, where Lammers understood the challenge ahead. Between circuits, the engineering never stopped. TWR's experience showed in systematic development, not random changes. Scientific method applied to race car setup. Rydell at 26 had speed, Formula 3 background, Macau winner. But touring cars demand different skills, contact racing, aggressive passing, reading opponents. He adapted quickly. Lammers at 37 brought Le Mans experience. Prototype racing teaches patience, but BTCC runs 20-lap sprints. Different discipline. The culture clash showed in results. Newspapers ran features. The wagon became the story. Every round brought questions. Can they podium? The narrative kept audiences engaged. The 850's front-wheel drive platform came from Project Galaxy. Development started in 1978. Volvo's first FWD platform. Revolutionary. The racing program validated this engineering direction, proved front-wheel drive competitive against rear-drive BMWs. The total budget, never published, but factory programs required 8-figure investments. Volvo committed fully. Racing proved durability. Standard features mattered. This separated Volvo from competitors. BTCC reinforced positioning. Alpha's controversy changed rules. Post-season regulations tightened. Homologation increased to 25,000 units. This prevented special editions. The changes favored established saloons, natural progression ending the estate's BTCC life. The wagon was unconventional, but execution was pure professional motorsport. Small disadvantages accumulating, not catastrophic, but enough to cost positions. Front-wheel drive with power, torque steer, inside wheel spin, making the car predictable under power, difficult balance. Lammers emphasized drivability, throttle response, brake feel, making the car easy to drive fast. Different philosophies, both valuable. The wagon provided baseline, generated knowledge. The saloon applied that knowledge. Results improved immediately. The experiment ended. The saloons returned. Championships followed with conventional body styles. But the wagon season lives forever. Lives in photographs, lives in model kits, lives in sim racing games, lives in motorsport legend. The grocery getter that raced at Silverstone and somehow belonged there. That final truth matters most, against all logic, against conventional wisdom, against skepticism and jokes and doubt. The Volvo 850 wagon belonged on the BTCC grid, earned its place through commitment, through engineering, through professional execution. The results page shows 8th or 6th, depending on sources. The memory shows something else entirely, shows courage, shows innovation, shows what happens when someone asks why not and commits fully to finding the answer.